Welcome to the Odds Breakers, number one place for shared sharp betting information.
Welcome back to podcast 14 of 2026. I'm your host, Kiev O'Neill. You can follow me on X at OBKiev. Follow us at the Odds Breakers. Follow us on social media / the Odds Breakers. This episode is being brought to you by FanDuel Sports, a proud partner with March Madness. If you'd like to support the Odds Breakers and benefit from our premium plays, please visit theoddsbreakers.com, click shop, become a member, pick any of our winning cappers, get the premium plays before the line moves. You can also support us on patreon.com. If nothing else, please visit the Odds Breakers and become a free Picks and Telegram subscriber. What a hell of a Super Bowl. Well, I say hell of a Super Bowl. I don't mean it was a great Super Bowl. Not a touchdown scored until the fourth quarter. Barner sneaks in. I'm not hitting any long shots. That was tough. I predicted 31-13, and it ended up 29-13. And so 150-1 was 31-15, or 31-13. And I took that small beer bet shot. But man, I was hoping for a safety so much when they punted them down deep. The ball rolled out at about the 6-yard line, but prevent defense, they just kind of chucked it and drove down the field until they threw the pick. That's kind of how it all ended. But the way it started, you're starting to think with all the defense and the field goals, maybe my 200-1 Jason Meyer has a shot at MVP. Unfortunately, and I do agree with this, Kenneth Walker was the biggest part of that game. He was. He was the biggest part of that game for the Seahawks. I mean, if you want to even get more cute, the blocking was the biggest part of that game. But Kenneth Walker just knew where to go. He was patient, waited to take off, waited for the holes to develop. That's what a lot of running backs don't do, is wait for the holes to develop, and he did. And Clint Kubiak did a great job adjusting. Darnold wasn't that good. He makes the Vikings look really bad right now. Really bad. But he wasn't that good. He was throwing behind. I thought JSN should have had that first touchdown before he got injured, which was a big bummer in that game too. Him missing about half the game, half the plays. The throws behind him. There's a ton of throws, and Drake May was pitiful. Absolutely freaking pitiful. And like I said before, you got to be prepared for a lot of different situations. Bad quarterback play is what we saw in this Super Bowl, and it really costed some of the, I guess, some of the throws that I went over for receptions made. Over for Hunter Henry. He had enough targets, just couldn't get over. Bad throws. They threw it to Hooper a lot, actually. This was interesting. And Kenneth Walker, 4 targets, only 2 receptions, but he went over his yardage total. Ryan Stevenson cooperated with his catches, with his yardage, and under his rushing attempts. I just knew Seattle would be up, and they'd eventually have to go away from the run. And also, they put a lot more Travion Henderson in at the end because he looked better. He was faster. Faster getting off from the snap, at least. He hits the holes harder, in my opinion, than Ramondre does. And that was very interesting. But, man, just kind of watching the game and how quickly it went. That first quarter was over in seconds. Our 8.5 hit, under 8.5. The penalties didn't even sniff 10.5. Thank God we hit that under 2. The props, probably with all the long shots losing, I'm probably about 50%. I still have to grade it. I'm probably close to even. I hit some nice ones. I missed some ones that I really hoped for. But at the end of the day, I would give, here's what my MVP rankings. Kenneth Walker, Witherspoon, who was absolutely fantastic on defense. He caused that pick or fumble, whatever it was, fumble 6 for Seattle. And he was just great at defense. And then maybe Jason Myers. But I don't have Sam Darnold anywhere close to MVP in this game. Getting this show out a little bit quicker as everyone's going to have their takes today, and then everyone's going to want to forget about it tomorrow. So I wanted to get a couple things out. First field goal prop, plus 330. Boom. Every single year we play that, and that always hits. First half under, second half over. The way I bet it this year was second half scores more points, and the freaking fourth quarter scored 30. The first half scores 9. The fourth quarter scores 30 points in the Super Bowl. Man, a lot of Super Bowls had these massive fourth quarters, So was getting a little worried, I guess, when it was 9-0 or 12-0 for a while, but I knew a touchdown would happen and second half would outscore the first half, but a little worried there. I was really disappointed to not see Buffalo in this Super Bowl because this is the one that Buffalo maybe could have won, just based on Josh Allen. I mean, that was a catch to Cook because the way that always goes to the offense. Look at a year ago when it happened to the Chiefs against Buffalo. Look how they awarded it. That's going to be an ongoing problem with the NFL until they care to fix it, but I don't think they do. But Buffalo being in this Super Bowl would have been a much better opponent based upon just Josh Allen being there. And Drake May, call it a shoulder injury. I don't think he threw it far enough to make it so I didn't think he had a shoulder injury, And, he was just nervous. He was just nervous. I'm not buying the injury crap. And all these people saying he was the best pick of that draft class with Caleb Williams and Bo Nix and Jaden Daniels. Absolute bullshit. Absolute bullshit right now. Jaden Daniels was hurt all year, had no offensive line. Idiot for a coach. Yeah, I don't like Dan Quinn, sorry. The Bears, Caleb Williams, amazing fourth quarter guy. What the hell are you doing the rest of it? Can Ben Johnson get him going? I will probably be strongly on the Patriots under next year for their season wins. It's going to probably be 9.5 because I think the market's not stupid either. Okay? But I'm going to have to go under 9.5 when I see it. The Bears is going to be a big popular one too. Bears are like 27-1 to win the Super Bowl. That's a little bit of a head scratcher to me. I think that they have some picks and they have some money to buy some more, playmakers. Our linebackers and D-line need to be shored up a little bit more in the secondary, mostly defense, maybe an offensive lineman or two, but this team is really put together already with the running backs looking good. Monagai, Swift, I assume stays there. They're going to have to dump either a Swift, though, DJ Moore, or Cole Kmet. They're not going to be able to pay all three of those guys, I don't think. But, with the way Luther Burton has really started, you got to be happy about that. But always looking towards next year and thinking about it. And the Bears are going to have a number 1 schedule. The Packers are going to have a number 2 schedule. So that gives you credit for the Packers. But then you have teams like the Rams who are number 2 in their division. So Packers have to play the Rams. Bears play the Seahawks. It's kind of a wash right there, right? And then you have the NFC South, which it doesn't even freaking matter which team you're playing there. It doesn't. I mean, it'd be nice to play the Saints, but Jesus, all those teams are bad. And then the East, you're going to get the Eagles or the Cowboys. And the Giants might be the better freaking team this year. I like the Giants with that hire. So just some thoughts going into this year. College basketball was, I was close on a lot of them. 3-3 on Saturday, 0-1 on 1-0 on Friday, 3-3 on Saturday, and 0-1 on Sunday. So very juiced out on that one. So just missed an over by a half point. Illinois was screwed at Michigan State. Everyone knows it. As I'm recording here, Kansas is going to be have their hands full against Arizona tonight. I can't wait to watch that game. That is going to be such a great game. This podcast from here on out till April is all about March Madness. Little UFC here and there. Probably a few things. We'll talk a little baseball, of course, a little bit, but we're not a daily baseball show. But this is going to be in deep college basketball, 2 shows a week, all the way through April. Then it goes down to 1 show a week, and for the most part until the end of July. That's just the way I like to schedule. But very excited for college basketball and March Madness. Excited for the Masters a little bit. I guess, we should talk some golf. We'll bring back Patrick on this show, maybe a few other guys, maybe Brady Cannon. Awesome golf handicapper. Just a lot of excitement always, twirling around the odds breakers. Want to be a professional handicapper? Check out theoddsbreakers.com, where we now have live odds and pick tracking. Click on live odds pick tracking, and you can start tracking your picks, partnering with TallySight. Once you develop records and a following, you can use that information to move to the next level, gaining all that experience in your sports betting career. Make sure you check out live odds and pick tracking at theoddsbreakers.com, partnering with TallySight. The good, the bad, and the ugly from the weekend. Starting with Stafford making MVP. But that's not even as crazy as the fact that he only won by 1 vote, 24-23, and Drake May was second. St. John's beating UConn at home on Friday. That was awesome. That was our 1-0 play. And Pitino, would he move up to second, I think, in total wins? Second or third in total wins. So huge shout out to Rick Pitino and St. John's for putting their foots down. By the way, Humans giving out 22-1 to make the Final Four. We took that. First field goal prop. Money every year, baby. I mean, we probably lost a couple over the past 15 years, but not many. First half under, second half over in the Super Bowl, like clockwork. The predicted score, man. Oh, I was so close. Come on. Give me that safety. Jason Myers, almost MVP. He didn't miss a kick. They're all easy, but he didn't miss one. They were talking about how windy it was in Santa Clara. I think that was just BS news. Wasn't that bad. Devon Witherspoon, just an absolute beast. Actually, all of Seattle's secondary were absolute beasts. Seattle's front line beasts. Linebackers were okay. Yeah, but Jesus, man, that was just an ass drubbing there. Kenneth Walker, over 150 yards, deserves the MVP from an offensive perspective. Now for the bad. Just going to say it. Jake May, 23 MVP votes. 23 MVP votes with that schedule. This is the idiots that you have voting for this stuff every freaking year. Illinois losing to Michigan State with some Big Ten assistance. That was bad. Patriots in the Super Bowl was just bad in itself. Refs missed some calls as well, though. I would say they missed more that would have benefited the Patriots. Like Seattle was offsides on a punt that was third and less than 5. Seattle smacked a guy out of bounds that should have been a personal foul. That was weird. But, man, when I said Sean Smith's going to swallow the whistles, I didn't know he'd swallow them that much. But that coasted under. And then, obviously, Sam Darnold, he just wasn't that good. He didn't have to be that good. They were never under any pressure. But, man, you put Josh Allen in that first half, they're probably winning against Seattle. Now for the ugly. What about Justin Herbert getting that one MVP vote? Now, I understand why Sam Monson tried to explain it. I understand the thought behind it, but it's still not even close to enough to vote for. Yes, Justin Herbert had it hard. He lost both his tackles, but it's not like he won the division. And that was a freaking easy division with no Mahomes or trash Mahomes earlier in the year. You know, he kind of moved into family life, it feels like. And then Denver was just, they were the best, but it wasn't like they were the best team in the AFC. I didn't think so. Denver had it pretty fortunate as well. But, man, just because you limp into the playoffs because of a coach, you vote Justin Herbert? No, dude. You are completely freaking wrong on that one. That was gross. Josh Allen got 2 MVP votes, and I disagree with that. I think it was just Stafford by a landslide. Super Bowl, no TD until the fourth quarter was kind of ugly. It was ugly for people that want more scores. Now, was it ugly for a lot of sharp people that took a lot of unders? Probably not. But those are some pretty sharp, I would say, numbers on the props. It's getting harder for prop bets to be great for everybody. Jackson Smith, the Jigga, was ugly going out with I don't know if it was a foot or concussion or kind of both. Came back in for a fourth quarter, but he wasn't even needed then. And when he went out, it kind of affected the Seattle's offense too. They started putting Rodriguez on Cooper Kupp. And Sam Darnold, with his inaccuracy, was very much exposed there. Ugly. Tennessee Titans. Vrabel makes the Super Bowl. Didn't win it. But, man, that's pretty freaking ugly. You fire a coach, and then that's what you have. What a shit organization. Drake May. The dude was horrible. Horrible. Wide open guys everywhere. Horrible. I mean, I'm going to chalk it up to being a rookie-ish, second year, whatever, being young. But that was just a piss-poor performance. There was open guys. Plenty of them. The Minnesota Vikings giving up Sam Darnold. Would I have? Maybe. I don't know. I think I would have kept him for a year, like franchise tag. He'll be pissed, but it's not like he was a huge commodity. But that was what you should have done with him. I wasn't a believer in him either, but you also didn't know what you had with McCarthy. And wow, how about Justin Jefferson talking all that shit too? I mean, if he had a real quarterback, he'd have a better year. I mean, that's true. Where's the lies? There's no lies there. How about the University of Minnesota losing to Maryland at home after they beat Michigan State at home? And that was my stupid bet in a letdown spot. A lot of letdown spots have not been coming through, so I ignore it once and I get bit for it. But, man, you lose outright to Maryland. You don't even cover the 8.5 points. You lose outright to freaking Maryland. Jesus Christ, after beating Michigan State. And then, obviously, the worst for the weekend was, everyone knows it, the Big Ten refs fixing the Indiana win. Only an idiot and yes, if you're an Indiana fan and do not admit that, you're an idiot too. The whole foot touching him, that was after he was staggering and stumbling into Blackwell. I mean, 2 charges before that, bro. And then you call the charge before that against the Badgers for while they're hacking you. That was everyone knows what happened there. And the Big Ten should address it. They should address it to save face because people aren't stupid. That is just pathetic and it hurts the sport. So glad I didn't have the Badgers on the money line during that game.
Bill Carson!
All right. Well, now for a little college basketball for Tuesday. Looking at a Big Ten game to give to you. The numbers aren't out quite yet on DK, but I got to give DK and FanDuel a lot of credit because they get the numbers out first. And we're looking at the Nebraska hosting Purdue under. Both teams have been pacing, trending down, I would say. If you look at Bart Torvik, you could see lots of, even when they play like Michigan, Nebraska, it was a 71 rather than a higher pace because Michigan's such a fast-playing team. But, 65 against Minnesota, 63 even against fast-paced Illinois, Nebraska had. Division average is 68, 60 versus Northwestern, 65 versus Minnesota. I think you're going to get a defensive game here more than an offensive game. And Purdue, they're starting to focus a little bit more on their defense after going in that awful losing spree. Now, Purdue is still a very efficient team and a very dangerous team, but their pace is ranked 292nd at 65.1 possessions per game. Nebraska, 66.8 possessions per game, ranked 205th. They will go with the flow, and they will up their pace, they'll lower their pace. But in the Big Ten here, in such a big game for both of these teams, trying to make some head play, right? Nebraska lost 2 games. They can't afford to lose another. Purdue lost 3 games. Can't afford to lose another. I think defense will be the story in this game. So I'm taking the under. I like it all the way down to 142. I'm hoping for a 145, 146. We'll see. But right now, it will count it if we get 142 or higher for 2 stars. Well, there you have it. Hope you enjoyed the Super Bowl for its low-scoring efforts, and hope you enjoyed some college basketball coming from the weekend, and I mostly hope you enjoy this podcast. Make sure you rate, review, and subscribe. Have a wonderful rest of your week. We'll be back on Friday morning, Thursday recording on YouTube, and go get some winners.